Welcome to the Fleet Geeks podcast. We're here to help develop fleet and transport professionals. Do you want to progress and develop your skills and knowledge? We promise to bring lively conversation and debate around interesting issues and keep you bang up to date with changes in our awesome industry. The Fleet Geeks are a community of professionals, and if you enjoy the podcast, why not join the discussion for free in the Fleet Geek community over on Facebook.
Hello and welcome to today's Fleet Geeks podcast. It's the first one of 2026 and I'm really pleased to be recording it for you. It's been a real cold snap. I hope you all had a lovely Christmas and New Year, and welcome to 2026 for the Fleet Geeks podcast. So what's the plan this year? What's going to be different? I was reflecting on the Fleet Geeks podcast over Christmas and just thinking about where we were going to take it this year. Obviously, there's some really big news that's been released in the magazines and industry news around my partnership with Beverly Bell Consulting, and Flagship Partners are teaming up to create the Transport Manager Hub. And as part of that, obviously, the Fleet Geeks is going to be becoming part of the Transport Manager Hub. But for now, I needed to really create a plan for 2026. Why listen to the Fleet Geeks podcast in 2026? What's the big idea? What is it that you guys are going to get? There's three key fundamentals behind the Fleet Geeks, and why it's so important to me to share podcasts and videos with yourselves as transport managers and fleet managers in those sectors. And whatever sector you're in as a fleet or transport manager, what are the universal challenges that you're facing that I can help you to solve? Well, there's three key things, and we're not just another fleet podcast. There's lots of them out there, I know, but Fleet Geeks is the original, and there's three key things that I want to get you as a transport and fleet manager listening to our podcast in 2026 to do better. The first thing is I want you to be able to sleep better. I want you to be able to sleep better at night, because you know that you've got your risk, compliance, legal, safety elements all in hand. Okay, so that's one of the things I want you to do. The next is around running better as an organization. So as a manager and running your fleet business, we need to look at cost, efficiency, systems and performance. Okay, and then the final one is around making sure you can lead better. People, culture, mindset. So those are the three key fundamentals behind the Fleet Geeks podcast, and the three key fundamentals behind what I'm here to serve you doing from a fleet management perspective. So I've created quarters or a quarterly plan for this year. The first quarter, I'm going to be focusing on the foundations and reality of fleet life. Quarter two, I'm going to focus around drivers, culture, and the human risk part of the business. Quarter three is going to be focused around cost, carbon, and commercial pressure. And quarter four, leadership, innovation, and the future. And today's episode for the first week of 2026 is to look at the state of the UK fleet and transport, what's really changing. So I hope that's of interest to you. I hope that you stay tuned, and I hope that we continue our relationship together as you listen and find value from Fleet Geeks. And I'll be really, really interested to hear from you guys, because one of the things that I'm really interested in is what keeps fleet managers awake at night. What is keeping you awake at night? And I'm going to be asking that in the Fleet Geek group on Facebook. And if you're not part of the Fleet Geek group on Facebook, please do make sure you're a part of it. I would love to hear from you around what it is that actually keeps you up at night. So today's episode is really around what's the compass, what's the trends, what's the challenges around the fleet and transport sector at the moment. And I think the challenge is really there's the regulatory elements around the enforcement trends, the scrutiny we get as an industry from the regulator, from the traffic commissioner, and those compliance expectations overall are really rising. And all of the time, compliance levels are just improving, and expectations are improving all the time. There's a real challenge from a skills and labour market perspective. We've got issues around driver shortages, retention pressure, and training gaps. The cost landscape is an absolute disaster. Fuel prices, insurance inflation, supplier parts, vehicle costs, and then the challenge around data overload as well. We've got so much data and telematics. We're drowning in knowledge, absolutely drowning in knowledge and information, yet starved of any actual wisdom and how best to apply that within the industry. So the key themes are really, really important. I think one of the biggest things is profitability is a real challenge at the moment. It's a real challenge for a lot of industries. And with such high costs, we really need to focus in the coming year around cost reduction and cost management. And I think your directors will be pushing you as fleet managers to look for savings. And all of the time you're pushing back to go, well, we can't save on compliance. And that's a real push and shove situation that you've got, and therefore need to be able to manage effectively as well. So we'll certainly cover focusing on those skills that you need to be able to negotiate effectively and discuss those challenges.
Hi, I'm Shani from Flagship Partners. We're proud to sponsor the Fleet Geeks podcast, your go-to source for all things fleet management. If you're looking for expert advice or high-quality training for your fleet business, make Flagship Partners your first choice. We're also thrilled to announce the launch of our Fleet Academy, designed to support and develop future fleet leaders through expert-led and career-focused training. Our offering includes fully accredited courses such as the Transport Manager CPC training, CPC refresher courses, OLAT training, plus ongoing mentoring, support and professional development beyond the qualification. Our vision is simple: to develop elite fleet professionals who drive excellence across the industry. Let's shape the future of our fleet management together.
What's not changing? So, the thing is we've always needed to be compliant. We've always needed to focus on making sure that we follow the Guide to Maintaining Roadworthiness and all of the transport manager, traffic commissioners, all of the traffic commissioners' requirements that are placed upon us. And within that, those things do evolve over time. Obviously, we've got Kevin Rooney now, who's taken on the Senior Traffic Commissioner's role, and we've got various expectations from a compliance perspective. But we really need to make sure we stay on touch on any changes to the Guide to Maintaining Roadworthiness and expectations around there. And interestingly, there's a lot of change from an HR perspective and health and safety perspective that we also need to focus in on. But certainly, we've got we really need to start thinking about the maturity around the data we're getting. So there's so much telematics going on. How are we really using that to drive decisions? How are we challenging the skill shortages that we're seeing from a leadership perspective? And how are we challenging the alternative fuels that are really nearly upon us as well? So I think that it's really important that we start to really see how that's going to affect us in 2026. And I'm really interested to hear from people who are listening how they're going to be changing around those, or how they're going to be supporting those as well. I think that the key focus that I see from most of the fleet managers that I speak to is a real focus around cost control and reducing costs wherever possible and mitigating costs. So I think really, obviously, fuel efficiency is a really, really important part of what you need to be focusing on, but also mitigation and minimizing damage is also huge. How do you get the most utilization out of your fleet of vehicles without using subcontractors who are going to be more expensive is a big challenge for people as well. So, I think there's a push all the time from a transport manager perspective of being able to, and I think the really big thing for you to focus on today around the thinking about fleet and transport that I'm most focused on is really how do you articulate the value of compliance and making sure that you're doing the right thing to a key decision maker like a CEO or an ops director of an organization, or a chief operating officer of an organization. How do you articulate to them the need for, yes, we need to look at cost control, but how do you articulate the value of what you're offering from a departmental perspective? And how do you articulate why those costs are what they are, and also how you're managing them effectively? Because there's so many different things in the melting pot around insurance costs, around damage, around fuel, around driver training and recruitment and those kinds of things, that you really need to have a plan around how you're really managing those costs. Because certainly if you're listening to this and you're an external transport manager or consultant, there's going to be operators saying to you, how can we save money? How can we cut costs? They're going to want to know. And the issue is if you've not got the answer, they're going to be wanting to cut your costs because you're a cost as a consultant or a transport manager. So it's really, really important for you to think about how you're supporting your client, whether you're an external or supporting your employer, to deliver value in your role. I think is really the key thought for me. I know that compliance is really important, but none of this stuff goes away, if that makes sense. None of the need for passing your MOTs first time, none of the need for managing your drivers effectively, all of those things that I've spoken about before. One of the things that I've never really talked about is really how do you really articulate the value of the role you do within your organization to ensure that you can do that. And I highly recommend that you reflect on that as part of this podcast, to think about how you can articulate the value in the role you're giving, and also have a plan around managing costs, because sooner or later, whatever industry you're in, I feel like this is the year for it, where people are going to be focused on really tightening the purse strings and finding a way to mitigate that. And the sooner that you're available to be able to really articulate what it is you're bringing, the value, what you're doing in your different areas of your organization to manage costs, I think is really, really important. So I hope that's been helpful. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Let me know how you're managing costs. Let me know what you're doing. That'd be fantastic. Thank you very much. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please share with your friends and colleagues too. Join us for free on Facebook with the Fleet Geeks community for transport and fleet managers. Fleet Geeks offers ongoing professional development, networking and mentoring too. So get in touch with me, Pete Rushmer, on any social media platform to find out more.